housing market. Get the latest insights right here.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much, and welcome back to Indie Housing Market. I'm Shelly Walters with the Shelly Walters Realty Group and FC Tucker. And today I have two of my really good friends from our office, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves. But we are going to have all kinds of conversations today, some about the market we've just seen and just what they've been experiencing. And they also have a little niche that they work in that we thought would be fun to talk about. So thanks for coming on, you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself and how long you've been doing real estate and a little bit about you.
All right. My name is Rachel Firestone, and I've been at the Carmel office here probably about 5 years, but total in real estate started back in 1996, so I'm kind of dating myself a little bit.
96, you're on your 30 years.
Yeah.
This year?
Yeah, and started in California, so a lot different market. That's actually something fun to talk about, too. So,
Absolutely.
I'm Dana Duncan, and I've been in this business since 2004. I started in new construction and then came over to the FC Tucker Company in 2010. So I've seen a lot of things happen in the last 22 years. So, yeah.
Isn't that the truth? I know we went over the new forms today, and a lot of people were commenting and have been around for a little bit longer about the constant change. And so I don't know what you guys think about the new forms, but I thought all of the changes are good. But it always amazes me that we're still coming up with this tweak and that tweak. Like, how have we not gotten to this yet? Like, it's been 30 years. We've been writing these forms, and they started at 2 pages, the purchase agreement. Now they're up to 9. And just like every year they just keep adding more and more information. But I'm just like, why wasn't that already on there? You know?
what I suspect, if you want to know the truth, what I suspect is that something happened that they didn't foresee. There became a transaction that had some problematic thing that they realized, oh, that really isn't covered in those documents, and we should make a change to make sure this never happens again.
Yeah, a lot of the lines.
I think that's more of what happens than anything else.
They had all the empty lines there that we were just randomly making up words and sentences to do it. But did you go over those at all? I know that, did anything on there that you thought was a silly change, or have you looked at them at all?
I looked over them, but I missed the meeting this morning. So
Yeah.
I think Dana's right, though. I think that things happen, and then that's maybe why things are being changed. I mean, everything, right, is evolving. I mean, things that we do, things change during the market, and so I think maybe that's why they're adding stuff to it. So.
Yeah. So just remember, everybody out there, that you have a new purchase agreement. So make sure to use those, get those in your wheelhouse of presenting offers to make sure that they are the correct ones, because there are some changes on that for sure. There was 8 different contracts or something.
Yeah.
So keep up.
New documents.
Yeah. So thank God we had the Tucker Carmel office go over those with us today. So that was really good information. But so we are starting 2026, you guys. How do you feel about how 2025 went? Was it a year that you are glad to see gone, or are you looking forward to 2026?
I feel like it was a little bit of a transitional year. That, I thought I saw seasonality for the first time.
Correct.
In quite a few years.
We've been saying that. Mm-hmm.
And people would say to me, what's happened to the market? And I said, seasonality.
Yeah.
I think that we are back to what we knew to be true for so long. That wasn't true for a small period of time there. So anybody who hasn't been in the business for a long time, I felt like this was pretty much back to what I knew in the beginning of my career.
Yeah. And Buffini says 2019.
That's correct.
We're back to 2019. So that would be something for anybody who's only been in the business. What was the stats we were talking about? That 80% of the agents in the Indianapolis area have only been in the business for 5 years. So they have not seen a different market other than houses flying off the market. And that's really kind of stopped towards the end of 2023. 2024 was, whatever, but we're back to talking to our sellers every week over and over and over again. And I just, I know you said you've been around, Rachel, with your years in the market. And what do you think about when you're going up against somebody who's not been in this kind of a market? I feel that the listing process is totally different, but I'm still hearing sellers being told things that aren't just happening anymore.
Yeah, I think it's definitely it's a little concerning because when you have someone telling a seller that their house is going to sell in 1 week, which we know, like Dana said, it's changing. And being back in the California market, I mean, that was very normal for us to see really, really big swings. So when I got here in 2005, it was a little bit different. Wow, we went from 2005 to 2019, and pretty much it was stagnant. We didn't see anything really changing in the market as far as home prices going through the roof. So I think it's a little challenging. I think sellers now we are going to start maybe seeing some price, reductions, which we have, and things changing. And I think some of the sellers and the agents that are not experienced, that have not gone through that market, it might be a little challenging. And, it's hard, like you were saying earlier, Shelly, that it is hard for us experienced agents to come in and that's our competition now. We have people they're not experienced in the market, agents, and they're telling sellers one thing, but we actually know what's happening is more seasonality.
Yeah, and I know before we started, Dana, you and I were talking about it as well with Rachel, that when I sat down, I'm just going to tell the truth because that's what they should be hearing and what they need to hear. But unfortunately, I think a lot of sellers take truth and promises as two totally different attitudes or whatever, and they don't like the truth.
Right.
So they go to the promises because it sounds better and it's much better for them if that is the outcome, but we all know that won't be the outcome. But in the end, I don't want to just get a listing. I want to make sure that I'm telling them the truth.
Yeah, and that just shoots you in the foot. I mean, if you don't go in with the truth and give them the real numbers. And it's like I tell them, I do my best to take the numbers, take the data, make the best decisions that I can about where I think they should be. But I'm going to tell you right now, the market tells us every time what that property value is. We can try to work that out, but the market's going to tell us, and that's where the house will sell at. And so, I mean, we can do things to enhance that. We can do things to help it. But at the end of the day, the market speaks on what the value of the house is. And I try to explain that to people. Pie in the sky isn't going to do us any good. It's not going to help us to sell this property for a fair price.
Well, buyers are also, if you're seeing it, you guys, I don't know if you are, but I'm seeing buyers they're just wanting to lowball. I'm having more and more people want to lowball, and or my listings getting lowballs because it's been on the market. And unfortunately, I think I'm seeing that because potentially they're with a buyer's agent that says, oh, that should have sold in a week. Now, it's been here for 40 days. We can get it off. But you look back to list to sale ratio, we're still not, list to sale ratio is around 98, maybe some 97%. So we're definitely not up to 100. But it's still not a buyer's market. I don't think it is.
No, not 100% yet. No.
I think we're really pretty close to kind of a balanced market.
Yeah.
Actually, I feel like we're somewhere in that middle space because there aren't fire sales. We shouldn't be selling these properties with a fire sale.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think if we set the expectation, first of all, it's all about the goals of the seller. Is your goal to sell this as quickly as possible? Then we look at one price. Is your goal to get as much money out of it as possible? Then we look at other strategies. And I think those have to go into the equation, is what are the goals of our seller?
Right, and those always have been the strategies, right?
That should have always been the
strategy.
strategy.
So many strategies are exactly the same today as they have been from the very first person that went into a listing appointment in 2020, or 1920 or whatever, because in the end, it is the price. The price is going to sell it, or the price is not. We can talk about condition and everything else. So knowing the price, and always, the buyer that's coming into your house has probably been in 4, 5, or 6 other houses, and they know darn well that you're way out of whack, or they know when they see a good price. And usually when they see a good price, which is like you talk about whether or not you're going to go through the process of putting it under market a little bit, that can hit you in the foot too, because you can't guarantee. Like we used to do that all the time, right? Let's just lower it by 10,000 and we'll get multiple offers. Today, if you lower it by what you think the market should be and lower it $10,000, you may get that or even less.
Correct.
So it's really hard what strategy, but the strategy should always be, here's what I'm seeing, and no promises of anything, because it's just this changing market.
Well, and the goals of the seller. For example, I just had one that the seller, the house had good bones, but it needed a lot of updating. But he didn't want to sell to an investor. He would take less money to sell it to a family. That's what he wanted. That was his goal. And the money was not the most important thing. And we always try to put it in perspective of the money. That was not his priority at all. So I think the first question when you're going in for a listing appointment is tell me your goals. Tell me what it is you want to get out of this. Is it money? Is it time? What is it? And for him, it was he wanted a family in there.
Yeah. What do you think you should be asking the sellers?
Yeah, I mean, I think asking them, what are your goals? Why are you selling? Is it price? And if it is price, I mean, a lot of times what I do too is to kind of show them what is on the market at that time in that like whole region, and say, hey, we've only got like 8 listings. Let's look at these listings. How long have they been on the market? How many price drops have they had? And this is why price is so critical, if that makes sense.
Well, in the end, the price could start at, let's just say, 300. If you're priced correctly, you should be able to get 300, maybe 295. But if you start at 320, you may end up at 280 with days on market. So price is always very important. And we were talking about the pre-market strategy of starting the process with a pre-market, which we all think is a really good idea. And that's where you can spend the time to get the condition of the house and everything else done, because price can't carry it all. You still have to get the house ready. So anyway, it was just something I wanted to see how you guys thought about the listings have just really started to set longer. Seasonality, like you said, is a huge part of it. I've seen houses that hit the market, middle of December. I almost feel like that's just buying days on market that you shouldn't have bought. That's just my opinion. I've had people who talked about that they wanted to list, and we did a couple because they needed to, like you said, having that conversation with them. But any house that was hit, the season is a good 15 days of just, eating days on market. So it's going to be interesting to see how this market picks up.
The only thing I'll say about that is, once in a while, if you do have somebody who looks at houses during the Christmas thing, they're serious.
Definitely.
They're serious buyers. Maybe they're being transferred in. Maybe there's other circumstances, but they're serious buyers. So I don't always say, yeah, we shouldn't do that time, because you don't know.
Right.
There'd be less on the market for somebody to choose from. So there's a lot of different ways to look at that.
Oh, I know. And that's always a question of should we, shouldn't we, and trying to figure out their I always have fun, though, watching, and I saw a couple hit the market on Christmas Eve. I'm like, what? I know Christmas is not celebrated by everybody, but I just thought that Christmas Eve was even interesting to see them hit. But it's going to be interesting to see how the spring market gets started. And I think from talking to agents, it's going to be busier than I think we expect.
Kind of what I've heard is we need to be ramped up and ready to go. Because if it is the seasonality that's come back, we need to be prepared to have most of our business come in the first half of the year.
Yeah.
And prepare for the second half of the year to be more slow, like the normal seasonality we were used to.
Yeah.
So if we're missing the beat right now, then we could be missing out on some business.
Yeah, this is the time to prepare, make your phone calls.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I know we were talking earlier, and why we wanted to have you guys on here is one of the things that we hear a lot. I work on the Northside Executive Board for the division of MIBOR, and niches has come up as something possibly to talk about, because the businesses are slower for some agents. We were talking about one of the stats that Rachel had put out there was 71% of MIBOR agents did not sell one house last year. And trying to find a way to make yourself stand out. So tell me about what you guys decided to do and how this all came about.
Well, I'm going to let Dana.
Okay.
Because Dana kind of started this. So.
Well, so I had actually been in Georgia for a couple of years. And when I was down there, I got in with a group of people who had this idea about really making their niche the senior demographic. And for whatever reason, we never got that off the ground, but it always kind of ruminated in my head that this was something to think about in the future. And when Rachel and I were talking, about 3 years ago,
Yep.
and we were sitting here having the conversation about what was going on in the market, and I said, the question always to me is, what do I do to not be concerned about whatever the market is, whether it's good, bad, indifferent, but what demographic could I work with to span all of these situations that could come
All the
up.
ups and downs.
All the ups and downs, yes. And, so Rachel and I started talking about that, and I said, I had this idea, we had this idea when I was in Georgia that maybe we should be looking at the senior population. Because what happens with the seniors is sometimes they move because they want to, but many times they move because they have to. And who is less affected by interest rate? Who is less affected by days on market? Who's less affected to any of these things than the seniors who may have to make a move for a number of reasons? They can't take care of their house anymore. They have health problems. They have other issues that make their hair on fire, and they need to move regardless of what's going on in the market. So we sat down and we started putting together this whole strategy to work with seniors. And it's just, it started with an idea, and it has just grown from there.
When did you
And
start?
It was about 3 years ago, was
Yeah,
it?
3 years ago.
Just about this time of year. And we just started reaching out to assisted living places, talking to them. What do they see when people come in? And what we learned is that these people really want to make a move, many of them, but then they go, oh, but I have all this stuff.
Yeah.
I have this stuff. What am I going to do with my stuff?
Right.
Oh, I'm so tired. And they become then like the, I'll think about this tomorrow thing. And then they stay stuck. And they stay stuck till their hair's on fire. They have a health issue. Somebody dies. Things like that happen. And then they don't make good decisions. So we sat down and thought through this and thought, what do we do to help people make that move before their hair's on fire, before they have that problem? And that's how we kind of came up with the process that we offer and what we do to help the senior community. And it's been very well received.
What do you
So,
think your percentage of your business is now in the senior environment?
of mine, 60%.
Oh, wow. So it's working.
Mm-hmm.
So niches are, something that you can do as an agent to try to figure out what can I just really specialize in that nobody else does, or there's not a lot of people, so that you
Right.
can just concentrate on that. So 60%, that's really awesome.
Well, and if you focus your marketing and you focus your, everything that you're doing on one thing, it's easier than being spread out between, and I still do quite a bit of new construction because that's where I started. But, to me, I like to have a focus. It just helps me be better at what I do if I'm not scattered amongst a lot of different things.
And just quickly, I don't want to talk about it for too long, but new construction has made a big change in how we deal with that. That's a whole other firestorm.
It's way different than when I left new construction in 2010, I will say that.
Yeah, yeah. So what would you think would be, for anybody out there that is thinking of a niche, how hard was it to you to make this change, get the marketing going? And I see that you talk about your team. You set a team around you. So how long was the up-ramping?
It took a while. It really took a lot of planning. Dana and I, we spent a lot of hours together. We went to these different facilities and communities around town and asked, what do you think about this idea? I mean, we had no idea what was going to happen with it. And we ran with it. We got with marketing. We did some brochures. And we started having events. But we did see some challenges along the way. And so that's what actually prompted us to our next division with the next step. We looked at, we have these clients and we're helping them get into assisted living or independent living, but we need someone to help us find these places. So then we found someone that specializes in helping our clients find a place to go. and that specializes in assisted living and independent living. Then I'm like, wow, one of our clients, they just got a check for $500,000 and sold their house, and they thought maybe they would want to just put it in their checking account. And we thought that was probably not the right idea. So we got a financial advisor to help them plan where they can put their money. So with that being said, we had a lot of extra needs that were outside of Dana and I's wheelhouse. So we decided to develop a larger group. And so now we have a large, I think 12 people in our group now that help seniors in all kinds of ways. We have a handyman that's vetted, and he'll go and do like bar rails and stuff like that. We have someone that has home instead, and he'll help them with their needs they need to stay instead of selling. We have someone that does reverse mortgage. So we have a lot of different people that can help with different needs. And so we're the next step resource group is what we're called. And we've vetted.
I like that.
Yeah, we've vetted everyone, and we highly recommend a lot of our clients to call us if they're in a need, and we'll make sure that we find them the right person within our group.
Well, see, and that's the scary thing right now with all the scams and everything.
Oh, yeah.
I tell my senior clients, I say, I don't care what you need. I don't care what it is. Call me first. If I don't have somebody, I'll help you find somebody. Don't get on the internet and troll for these people.
Yeah, it's very hard for them to trust.
And I went into one of my clients. She was in assisted living, but I went in one day and she was on the phone, and I heard her talking. I said, Vic, who are you talking to? And she's like, this nice young man who needs money. And I'm like, hang up the phone.
Yeah.
So part of all this is we don't want them to be vulnerable, and we want to try to help with all these different services. We want to kind of be their one-stop shop and be their first call.
We
And that's
haven't
just what
talked
we've
about
done.
this, but I have a question about it. How do you guys deal with family? Do you find that that's usually an issue more than it's not, or I can see I've dealt with some of the senior people, and the family is the hardest part for me.
Yeah.
We've seen it all if they have family, and that's actually one of
That's
the
the
other
whole
issues too. Some of these people don't have any family that are here in town and willing to help them. So we found a challenge with that. I mean, even Dana was, I think, getting a phone call at 2:00 in the morning to take one of our clients to the ER.
Oh my goodness.
So, we wear many hats with this, but yes, we've had family get involved. We've had positive, help from the family. We've had maybe not so positive help with the family. So, I just think that the seniors, they need help. Some of them really do.
Well, and I will tell you, and Rachel and I've talked about this a lot. It's beyond the business. It's incredibly rewarding. That if I walk in and visit any of these people, and I just take some little treat or something, you would think I brought them $1 million.
Yeah.
They are so appreciative of attention. They're appreciative of caring. It's amazing to me how rewarding that is. And
Well, it takes a special person for you guys to even do this because it does take caring on
well,
their
it takes
side.
patience.
Yeah. Don't they all?
Patience.
Every
Yes,
client
everybody takes patience in a different way, for sure.
Well, Dana always says this is not turn and burn real estate.
No, we are not in turn and burn real
Yeah.
estate.
Yeah, because you could really be talking to these people for a couple of years sometimes.
absolutely.
Just they get a hold
I
of
have
you.
one that I'm still talking to after 5 years.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for. Sometimes she's going to sell her house. She worries me. Anyway, but yeah.
Well, there's a joke about, not joke, but a funny thing. I just sold a listing probably 4 months ago, and I got this phone call, and I remember this specific person. He passed away, and his son called me. And this was back when I was marketing that neighborhood, because I had sold quite a few in the neighborhood, and so I just started doing mailings. Well, back in the day, I was doing magnets in my mailing, and my magnet was on his dad's refrigerator from like 2014, and I just sold it in 2025.
Yeah.
And so he's like, my dad had your magnet on the refrigerator. I'm like, maybe that's something I need to start doing again.
Yeah.
But, just keeping yourself around to the point where they're finally ready. That's true in every listing. If you
Well,
ever
it
talk to
is.
people, it's always a nurturing process of they're not ready now, and like you said, you don't want them to be calling you when their house is on fire. Not their
right.
house.
Their
hair's
hair's on fire. That's our term that we always use in our meetings. Their hair's on fire.
Yeah. Oh, I get it, because it does. It just takes that one fall or something like that. So I love that you found that niche. And then I always talk about having the vendor pool around me, my team. when I first started, I called it my team. I needed to know who was going to be my lenders, who was going to be my inspection people, who were going to be
That's
those.
right.
So you have a specialized team around you that totally works in the senior market, which I will tell you, for me, I now know to get a hold of you guys, and you might have a resource for me. So, said the agents listening, I'm sure you'd be willing to talk to them about
Absolutely.
something to the point where assisted living. I know I've had people say I need to move to assisted living. What would you recommend? And I have to go dig it. But I didn't know. Now we have this person here on your team. That would be a great person. And I want to ask you, another thing you talked about is reverse mortgages. What have you learned much about reverse mortgages?
Yes.
What are your feelings on reverse mortgages?
Well, reverse mortgages, have had, there's a lot of myths to them. But there's two buckets to that Dana and I was not aware of at the time. But you can actually purchase, I don't know if you know this, Shelly.
No, that's why I'm asking. I
Yeah.
think a lot of agents out there, when I first started in 2008, reverse mortgages were some of the causes of the crash of the houses being put in foreclosure.
Yeah.
So you were told in 12 and 13, don't do that.
Well, that's
Well, the plans all changed since that time.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So what's
And-
today's reverse mortgage look
so
like?
today's, you still have the traditional reverse mortgage, but they've made a lot of changes with that. It's people that don't want to have a house payment and they go ahead and get a reverse mortgage, so they don't have to, and maybe they need the extra money and they don't have the funds to make the mortgages. So that's like more
So
the
explain what a
traditional-
reverse mortgage is for the layman. How does it?
Well, so now the new, I guess it's not new, but it's a reverse mortgage, and it's called a HECM, and it's an FHA product.
Yeah, it's an FHA product.
And you can actually purchase a home through the reverse mortgage. So let's say you had a house that was $600,000 and you owned it outright, and you went ahead and sold it, and you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, so you have to put about 50% down. So it'd be $300,000. And then the rest would go on a reverse. So they have it, you have to be at least 62 to do this. And of course, the older you are, it's actually more beneficial. And so they stretch it out where you don't have to pay any payments on the rest of the mortgage, if that makes sense, because it's in the reverse. And then when let's say you pass it along to your children, then the children can go ahead and still sell it, and they can take the equity that's left off of the mortgage and still have some proceeds left. So it's a really good product for somebody that wants to maybe take the rest of their money and invest it in something instead of putting it all into a purchase at that age. If that makes
Well,
sense.
and so there's really two parts to it. And I would say to you, it's a great tool in certain circumstances, not for everybody.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. And what it does is you put down 50%, and then that 50% in equity is what they draw off to make the rest of the payments. What used to happen that got people upset is they'd run out of that equity and then they'd take their home.
Correct.
That does not happen anymore. If you live to be 110, this is my understanding as not a lender, but my understanding is that if you live to be 110 and you've used up all that equity, you still stay in the home with no payments until it's done. That's my understanding. There's also a reverse, so that's the reverse purchase. There's also a reverse refi.
Right.
And so let's just say they've got a house that's paid for. They can probably make more money out of the stock market right now than they can leaving it in there. They want to take 50% out and invest it elsewhere, or go on vacation, or do whatever. They can do that with a reverse refi. And we have found, and our lender that we work with all the time on this is just amazing to talk to about. But
And he's with Hallmark. I
he's
see.
with
Tom
Hallmark,
Hedrick.
which is part of Fairway now, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, they were acquired by Fairway. So.
Yeah, I just have heard reverse mortgage come up more and more in like the past year. And just knowing, like I said, when I started, boy, that was taboo.
Well, because there were problems with it,
Yeah.
but most of those have been fixed, is my understanding.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not a lender,
And
so
Tom is an expert.
Tom is an expert
an
at it.
expert at it. So if there's any agents listening, he's the one to call.
I'm just going to go ahead and throw his name out here.
Yeah.
Tom Hedrick, Hedderich. His phone number is 317-441-8247. Just maybe put that back in your wheelhouse of information you could provide to somebody if you hear reverse mortgage come up, and you're like, I have somebody to call. I always said, I'll find out. Let me get back to you. So that was always my answer if somebody asked me a question I didn't know. So that's awesome. I just wanted to touch base with that because I myself had been in the process of hearing bad things. I was a short sale specialist in 2010 and 11. And,
God bless you.
Well, I did it because I was seeing all these agents handle short sales in a horrible situation and seeing people lose their houses because they didn't do the short sale correctly. And I just figured, kind of like what you're saying, you're looking for a niche. I looked for a niche and decided that if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right, and I'm going to help people because they were losing their homes. And I wanted to make sure that they didn't lose their home. So but that was where the reverse mortgage was, where I was seeing people losing their homes. So thank you for telling me. It'd be more something that I think everybody should.
Well, he can give you more of the details of it. Like I said, I know just about enough to speak to it a little bit, but I'm not a lender. It's not my
and
specialty.
I don't think it's for everybody. I don't think it's for,
No,
you said
it's
they're 62 and above to do it. So
That's right.
it's not something that you can just throw out to anybody who just wants their money back.
Right.
That's just a standard refi.
Right.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming on. We're going to talk about stats here and how we think that's affecting the market here, so we can move on to that. Do you guys have any last minute things you wanted to talk about in regards to the senior market or what you're seeing? And
No, again, the senior people you just have to have a lot of patience with them.
Yeah.
You have to understand that their biggest goal typically isn't time. It's getting the right situation so that they don't feel overwhelmed. And that's what we spend a lot of time doing, is helping them to not be overwhelmed and feel free to move forward. So.
okay, well, it takes a special person to do it. That's for sure. I know. I love seniors myself. They're fun. So just wanted to mention the stats. Like probably should have said right off the bat, Kyle's not here. Kyle's busy as always, and couldn't make today work. So we miss you, Kyle. We'll see you next week. And he didn't quit. He's coming back. So the stats, I wanted to go ahead and I pulled off my board the 2026 stat for, December of 2025, now that we're in 2026. This is a review, just Hamilton County. So there's more out there, and you as agents can look up any county if you want. But I think this really tells the story of what people really need to understand when they're listing now. It's a different market. So the average price in Hamilton County is $440,000. This is all of Hamilton County. This is every city, every township in Hamilton County. The price since 2024 December is down 3.8%. So our prices are lowering. And I know that people out there are saying that they're going up. They are going up. So how can we say both of that at the same time, right? They have been saying the prices are continually going up. Tell your buyers, buy today, don't wait, you're going to spend more money. But the stat for Hamilton County shows that the price went down in the past 12 months by 3.8%. So use that as you will. Sold units. So this is interesting too. So in the past December versus December, there were 513 homes sold in this December, and that was up 3.2%. So the housing sales are up. But then we look at inventory. This will all correlate back to how you list a home. Inventory now, there's 804 homes on the market now, and that is over last December up 18.6%. So our current inventory in Hamilton County is up almost 19% over last December. That is huge. The next one is the inventory coming on the market, the new inventory, 237 in December. That is down 24.5% from last December. So if we look at those two stats, our inventory is down 24%, but our active our new listings is down 24.5%, but the inventory is up 18.6%. So that doesn't sound like it makes sense, but what that means is all those houses hitting the market are staying there. So your active inventory is lingering 19% longer than before. And that's where we were talking about earlier. When you're going on a listing appointment, know your stats and know your neighborhood, your town, and everything about that house, its price point, stats for the price point, stats for the size of the house, stats for whether it's a ranch. You need to know your stats. And please don't tell your people anything about what happened 6 months ago. You really need to look 3 months back. Remember back in the day, we would look a year back? I mean, it was 12 months.
I know.
And the appraisers would do 12 months, and
That's
you'd
right.
look at it all. If we go back 6 months right now, we're in June and July, we can't go there. And if we go back 3 months right now, we're in, October-ish. That's our seasonal market.
That's right.
Where everything just slowed way down. We actually talked about where we saw the seasonals really start to hit in September. Once school started, it was over. So use those stats again. Those are showing us that the inventory is climbing. The active inventory is going, that we're listing is coming down. And this is what makes me wonder what's going to happen in the spring. So whether or not we're going to have
Right.
a larger increase in inventory. 19% is huge
That is big.
over 12 months.
I feel like a lot of people are sitting around thinking, we're going to wait and see what happens with interest rates. I do not believe that interest rates are going to change substantially
Not
this
enough.
year. It's just really not. And so the people that are just sitting and waiting for that to happen, there's really no point to waiting for that to happen if that's your only issue with listing.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how people perceive that. But
Yeah.
I don't see that it's going to go way down.
No, and that's not what we're hearing from all the experts. It's maybe 5.9, maybe 5.8. That psychologically, that 5 is going to make people probably jump. But I just still hear people saying, "Oh, it'll get to the 4s, or it'll get," No, I don't
see that
so.
this year.
No.
And when we talk about, even though we saw all these stats, like I said, if you're having thoughts of buying and you're waiting, the house prices will continue to go up. Even though this is showing a drop, they are going up in many, many areas. Hamilton County, you would think, would have gone up. This is a stat showing us something happened. It's probably the last of the year that when that really started to change. And so if you're going to buy, waiting for a 1 or 2%, not 1%, 0.01 or 0.02% change is not enough to sit on the
There's
sidelines.
also the whole thing of if it would happen, if it would go down, you can
Refinance,
It's
yeah.
not like you're married to that rate for the rest of your life.
What was our terms? Date the
Marry the house and date the rate.
Yeah.
Whatever that is. Yeah.
I never liked that, so I couldn't
Yeah, I
say it
didn't
right.
either, but that's the truth of the matter. You're not stuck with that mortgage
Correct.
payment forever.
But
So
you are stuck with the purchase price, and
that
if
is
it goes up
correct.
in 6 months, then you're buying less house
Well,
usually.
And it's a teeter-totter effect. If the mortgage rates go way down, the prices are going to way
Correct.
down.
And
So
that's the whole other thing.
then you end up balancing it out anyway.
Good
So,
point, because your competition will get multiple offers. They start going up
Yeah.
because that's what happened when it went to 3%.
That's right. That's
It's just
exactly it.
the frenzy was crazy. Well, I thank you guys so much, and I know you put something under your lap. I want to show everybody.
Oh,
So I know if you're just listening, I am showing you the old MyBor card. I
that's
have
how we
not.
got into houses.
I had not seen one of these, and I don't know when we stopped using these years ago.
Yeah.
That I don't know. Mine's in a drawer somewhere, I'm sure, with my time capsule of being a realtor. But this is how we used to get in houses. You had to have this, and
Yeah.
darn it, I would always lose mine.
Yeah.
You get up to the house, you didn't have the card, and you can't get in.
Yeah. I kept that because it's easy for me to find that in my purse. But it just is also a good
It
reminder.
should be in an antique store right now, but this is a MyBor card. I just want to show it. This is so
I'll
funny.
sell it to the best bidder, highest
We
bidder.
were talking about people that have been in the business for 5 years or less. You did not see this ever. This is history.
Yeah.
Well, give us your names and phone numbers and stuff so how people can reach out to you if they have questions.
All right. Dana Duncan, my number's 317-730-3133. Dana.duncan@talktotucker.com.
Rachel Firestone, 317-345-7696. Rachel.firestone@talktotucker.com.
And I'm Shelly Walters with the Shelly Walters Realty Group. My cell phone's 317-201-2601. Thanks so much. We'll see you guys next week, and Kyle will be here.